Hi, I'm Hammond. This is my wife, Marta. We live in Fremont County. We graze all commodities, and we also have a cow-calf operation as well. We're here to talk about just one of the problems, one of the challenges we face as far as increasing the efficiency of our ranch, as far as being able to increase cattle numbers on pasture. We're just using the dirt that they pushed up and trying to put it back where it was in the first place. We're just trying to restore it as it once was.
My grandfather came into this area in 1886. He was one of the first 5 farmers, and he homesteaded a certain amount of ground down on the Snake River. At that time, it was all sagebrush. It was all just dry creek, and he ran horses and he ran cattle down there. And it's been in the family for over 100 years now. The pasture, I've ridden that ground since I was a little tiny girl. It used to be that you could ride a horse all the way across it. It was dry. It was very, very dry. And in his attempt to make it more productive for cattle, he thought that if he just went in and bladed out some ground, that the water would fill the ponds and then everything would green. And it did to some extent, except that there was no drainage. And so the water would just sit.
He thought that by digging holes, it would help his pasture. But when you dig up pasture, you lose ground. And that's what has happened with this pasture, is almost half of the pasture is in ponds now. And we don't want the ponds because it decreases our efficiency as far as how many animal units we can put on that ground.
But my grandpa was just simply trying to make the land more productive when he pushed out the ponds.
So when we acquired the land, I started to fill in ponds. And it's a slow process. It takes a long time and a lot of dirt. One of the visits that I had at our local FSA office, the gal that I know there brought me into her office and she just said, "Val, you've got to quit. You've got to quit filling in those ponds." And she said, if you don't, you're going to have the Army Corps of Engineers come down on you and it's going to cost you a lot of money. She said, I would advise you to quit. So I quit filling in the ponds. I stopped filling in the ponds probably 13 years ago. We would like to be able to fill in the berms, fill in the ponds, and make this pasture a good, efficient use of real estate. So that's the process. That's what we were trying to do. And we're just looking for an opportunity to continue to do so, to make that pasture a better place than it is now. The earth that was here was pushed up to create these ponds. We'd just like to put the earth back in the ponds so that it becomes productive, because as you can see, this has no value to us or to the cattle.
Swamp grass like this doesn't have any nutritive value, or very little, and it only lasts for just a brief period of time and then it burns up.
There's no live water that comes into these ponds. These ponds come up in the springtime, they dry up in the fall, and they're dry all winter long, but in the springtime the water comes up and it stays like this all summer long.
So without the pond being dug here, this would just be flat pasture ground.
People think that we turn live water into this. We don't.
No, there's no inlet at all for this water source. It's just simply coming from the ground. And you can see the farther that you get out here, the wetter it becomes. You can see the cows can only work till about this area, and then they start to sink.
The cattails literally get so bad in here that it's just unreal.
And when you look at the type of grasses, they're not grasses that any animal's going to eat. They're harsh, bitter swamp grasses, and the cattle won't eat them at all. They just stay completely away from them.
So we get double grazing on the good grass and no grazing on this at all.
So we're standing in what used to be a pond, but he's reclaimed this and made it so much better and turned it into something that the cattle can actually benefit from.
This is pasture land now that we can utilize, whereas the ponds that surround us are just wasteland. They just really don't help us at all. It's just underutilization of the ground that we have. We're trying to increase that and make it more efficient.
Some of this grass out here is, ankle close to knee deep. And so it's very, very productive for the cattle.
Now, there is plenty of water around us. We have the Henry's Fork to our south. We have the Egan Canal to our north. There's canals on the west and the east, so it's just like filling in a puddle in your yard. You know, we're just trying to utilize and make better what we have rather than just letting it lay waste and not being utilized at all.
We're not taking away any wildlife refuge at all. We're not taking away any wildlife habitat. There's plenty of places for those birds and those animals to go. And we feed a lot of deer and a lot of moose out here during the winter. This is often a place they come through and stop, so we're doing our share. See, these are the grasses that cattle love to eat. They come through here and they top this off, and this is all just grown in. It's all come back since he filled it in. We didn't seed or anything. This is natural.
There's areas where if I have a cow go down, I can't get to that cow because it's so swampy. I can't even access an animal. If an animal gets in trouble, I can't access the animal because you can't get to it. It's so swampy. These swamps, these huge holes of water aren't natural. They were dug out and we're just trying to put them back the way they were originally.
And the reason we want to tell our story to everyone is the fact that we've got this beautiful piece of land, and we know that farmers all across America do too. They have places that they love, places that are a heritage, places that have come to them through family, and they want to keep it and they want to make it the best that they possibly can. Just like anyone wants to make their home and their yard better, we just want to make it better.